Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions and Brave Kids Books, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the most amazing authors of our first children's book collaboration coming out. This one is called Brave Kids, Short Stories to Inspire Our Future World Changers. Before I introduce these amazing ladies to you, I'm going to just say a huge thank you to KJ Kashula. Kelly is our lead author of this beautiful book, and she is so much more than that, you guys. She's my right arm and publishing director at Brave Healer Productions. Kelly, we would not be here without you and this brilliant idea and your passion and enthusiasm for this Brave Kids story collection. You guys, Kelly is an amazing artist and illustrator and project manager. And I really couldn't do these things without her. So I just wanted to start off by saying that thank you. So who do I have in this Zoom room with me today? Julie Funkhauser is CEO of the Recovery Connection, a holistically focused and trauma-informed substance use program for women in Winchester, Virginia. Meredith Spear happens to be the co-founder and COO of the Recovery Connection, where she helps clients heal and find freedom from substance abuse disorder. She is a certified peer recovery specialist in Virginia and has over 14 years in long-term recovery. Miss Kelly Doherty. Get me right, Kelly. Say it.
Doherty.
Thank you.
Doherty.
is the owner of Center for Informed Grief, dedicated to helping school personnel and therapists gain a deeper understanding of grief and how to better support those who are grieving. And lastly, I've got Dr. Pamela J. Pine with me. She has been an international health, development, and communication professional throughout her adult life, concentrating on enhancing the lives of the poor and otherwise underserved groups, an artist throughout her life, and is now a best-selling author. Yay! Stop the Silence, you guys, is the name of Pam's nonprofit. So, amazing authors who are with me today, thank you so much. My other big thank you goes to you. Thanks for saying yes to this, and thanks for your passion for kids and helping them live amazing lives and feel and be brave. We have a lot to talk about today. So Julie, I'm going to start the party with you. Tell us about the story that you shared in the book.
Absolutely. Thank you, Laura, and to Kelly, Brave Healer Productions. It's good to be with you today and all of the rest of the ladies here with us. So my chapter is called I Can Feel and I Can Heal, a Young Girl's Journey to the Heart. Inspired personally by my incredible daughter, who is now 9, and my children too, but of course, just in reflection of our journey in grief. About going on 5 years ago, we lost her father to the disease of addiction, and have been on this journey of grief together as a family. And when I was so divinely introduced to Laura, and in divine timing felt called to share a story of how to support children on their healing journey, right? And so when the opportunity came about, and I'm so grateful that it did, felt called to participate, and was so amazed by the concept of highlighting such bravery in children. And so how brave is it for a child to experience tremendous grief and learn how to release some really, really heavy feelings? So my story is about a girl who experiences parental loss and holds, and because it's scary. Those feelings are so scary, and we kind of hold them. And it's kind of our knee-jerk reaction to want to protect, right? And it's a story of her learning how to release that, to make space in her heart, and to open her heart to not only heal and to experience joy again, but to also connect spiritually with her daddy in a new way. So it's been a very, very healing journey in the writing for my family and I, and I'm super grateful.
It's a brave topic to pick. It's
Yeah,
a brave topic for the brave book, isn't it? I mean, it really
absolutely.
goes to another level of, okay, how are we going to write about this? How am I going to write about this for a kid? And
Yeah.
you mentioned the heavy feelings. I think that I would love to know how you what's first step with a kid when you know that the feeling is that level heavy? What do you have to do first
Right.
to help them? What would you say to that?
What comes up for me, just intuitively, as soon as you said that, was providing a sense of safety, having a sense of safety where the child feels safe. How can we release at any age in our lives, even me myself, how can I release and let that heaviness go of anger and pain and grief and deep sadness if I don't feel like I'm in a space of safety?
Yes, I love that. I think that's an answer for a lot of people for a lot of things, actually.
Yeah,
Julie,
absolutely.
yeah, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Um, Kelly, I'm going to move to you, and this is kind of an interesting segue, isn't it? Because
Yes, it is.
Kelly's leading a book on the grief topic, and I'm so honored to be here with you, ladies, talking about these brave topics and talking about them in a way that not is isn't only going to help the kids, but it's going to help me. It's going to help the parents, the grandparents, the mentors, the caregivers. You all talk about this in such beautiful ways. So, Kelly, tell us about your story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so grateful to be following Julie. That seems like a perfect segue. And excited to have her story to be able to help some of my clients as well. And so I know these two amazing little girls, Anna and Jean, and they are the reason this story is happening. And they had experienced a tragic loss of their younger sister. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of sibling books out there on sibling loss. It's really unfortunate. There's a ton of children's grief books. I have a ton of them, but I have like two for siblings. There's just not a lot out there. And so we started writing this story a while before Brave Kids was even like going to be a thing. And once this came out, I was like, oh. So I talked with their mom and them, and they're like, oh, let's do it. So we wrote chapter 8, One Rock at a Time, Coping with the Loss of Ruby. And what the story is about two children that experience the death of their sibling and then go to a grief counselor and then also go to a grief camp where they feel like they're not alone. And what the one rock at a time signifies is that the older girl, Anna, talked about carrying a backpack around, and that backpack is full of rocks that represent all different things, her feelings, her memories, her thoughts about her grief. And sometimes she just has to take one rock out at a time to let those feelings out. And she talked about that at the end of one of the grief camps that she attended, that she felt like she was able to let go of some of these rocks. So that's what this story is about. And it's about letting those rocks out one time, one thing at a time. And because grief isn't something they're going to get over, it's just something that they've learned to live with and that they're going to have to learn to live with for the rest of their life. And so we're really hopeful that this story is going to be able to help other grieving children that have had a sibling die, because we do know it happens. 1 in 12 children will have a parent or a sibling die by the time they're 18 years old. And that number more than doubles by the time somebody reaches 25 years old. So this is a really important topic, and I'm thrilled that it's in part in this book. And I'm just so grateful that Anna and Jane and their family was willing to help me write this and to be able to offer this. So thank you.
Yes, the big thank you to them for being brave like that too.
Exactly.
Ooh, published in a book. I can't wait. I think you're gonna have to tell them that they need to take a little video when they open it for the first time and read their, okay, I want to see that one. But okay, you mentioned counseling, and I kind of want to rewind to that for just a second, because I think that it's great that that was a part of it. And I wondered if you had anything else to say about that in terms of kids understanding that that's an okay support to get.
Well, the reason I'm a social worker is because of my own grief counseling as a teen. My mom died when I was 14 years old, and I was a hot mess. And my dad forced me to go to a grief group. And I walked into that room and I met an amazing social worker. And for the first time since my mom had died, I felt like I wasn't alone in my grief, that I could see other teens that have also had experienced a parent that died. And that was life changing for me. It's the reason I'm talking to you all today. It's the reason I'm a social worker. And so being able to break down that stigma of grief and to be able to know that there's a safe space to come and talk about your grief and your loss, because other kids, they don't get it. And a lot of, and there's also a lot of therapists that don't even get grief. And so being able to find a good grief counselor to support these kiddos is so important, to know that their feelings are normal and that what they're going through is part of the experience. And then also what Julie talks about, what I love to hear, is that continuing bond. How do you keep that connection to your loved one even though they're physically gone? And so being able to give them these tools and these resources, I think, is so important. And so grief counseling is definitely something that's, I think, all children can benefit from. And what we know about the research with children in grief is that it's not just right after the loss. Actually, the Harvard Children's Bereavement Study says that 2 years post-loss, that children are having more symptoms than immediately following. And we also know that children re-grieve at every developmental stage. So we need to make sure that we're giving them consistent support. I have a kiddo that I see in my private practice that I've known her since she was 6. She's 18 now. She comes back every so often when she needs to for what we call a booster session. And it's normalized for her. It's accepted that this is okay to be able to reach out for support when she needs to. And so I think getting kids into grief counseling sooner than later, just so they build that rapport and that relationship. So as they do move through the developmental stages, if they need to come back, they already have that safe, supportive person.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you reminded me, because when Julie was talking about that connection after, I was just like, oh yeah, I've been kind of binging a Netflix special called Surviving Death, and they did an entire episode on all kinds of interesting topics, but the grieving topic I thought was really important. So I'm loving that, you guys. If you want to go down that rabbit hole of topics, it's pretty cool. Meredith, you're next up. Tell us about the story that you shared in Brave Kids.
Sure. Thank you, Laura. And it's an honor to be here with all of you today. And Laura and Kelly and Brave Healers, thank you for your mission and your vision, because without that, this may not have been possible. The chapter that I've written is called Caroline Can Do Hard Things, Courage for the Tough Times. Surprisingly, the main character is my daughter, who's named Caroline, and it's really been inspired by her journey with bravery and courage. Life can be hard sometimes. I think we all know that and feel that. And life as a kid, especially in this day and age, can be really tough as well. And it's really just a story of bravery through the eyes of a third grader. It focuses on the first day of school. I don't know about you ladies, but I vividly remember so many first days of school with the butterflies in the stomach, which I now know was anxiety and nervousness. But I so vividly remember how nervous I would get each and every year that there was a first day of school. And Caroline faces those same challenges that a lot of kids face. You know, she's in third grade and she's riding the school bus for the very first time. She goes to gym class and she gets picked last in dodgeball. And then a big theme that runs throughout my particular chapter is Caroline's parents have decided to get divorced, which is something that I've personally gone through, as well as my daughter. And through these hard situations that Caroline faces, she learns that she is brave, she is resilient, and that she is enough just the way that she is. And the main lesson, if you will, is that Caroline, and hopefully all of these children and parents that are going to take the time to read this book, will understand that they are beautifully and wonderfully made, and that we can do hard things and we don't have to do it alone. A big part of inspiration for me with this story, and I'll speak for me personally, is for many years in my life, I would always wait for it to get easier, right? Like if I can get this promotion at work, it's going to get easier. If I can write this chapter for Laura and Kelly, it's going to get easier, right? But what I've learned is life really doesn't get easier. Spoiler alert. We just get better at handling the difficult and hard things that sometimes life serves us. And super grateful to just have the opportunity to share with children and parents and those that work with children, how children can be so brave and so resilient, and that they're enough just the way they are.
Meredith, you're helping me think a little bit about the way this book is laid out with the different topics and the different stories. And what I was thinking just now as you were talking about doing hard things and busting through that with courage is, somebody's going to read that chapter and the child will have perspective maybe about their friend that's feeling the first day of school anxiety, or their friend who they realize they learned lost a sibling or lost a parent. And so you guys are not only helping the kids that are going through the thing that you're talking about, but you're also helping breed compassion in the circle that's around the kid who, somebody said, well, some even therapists don't get it, or other kids don't get it, or whatever, but this is going to help people get it and have a conversation possibly, or even just that energy of extra compassion matters, right? Anything else you want to say about that, Meredith?
Agreed. And I tell you, I've done a lot of things wrong in my life. But my daughter that I am raising, she is the most compassionate and empathetic soul I've probably ever met. So, and you're right. It's just going to help people because we all go through difficult times multiple times each day, especially at school. So I think, fostering that energy of compassion and empathy is key for children.
Yeah. I know that this book and these stories are going to change some lives. I'm so proud of all of you. Pam, let's hear from you. Tell us a little bit about the story you shared.
Yeah, my chapter is chapter 5, and it's called The Squirrel's Tale. Little Sherwin Squirrel Gets Brave Against Bullies. And this story was influenced by various things. My growing up, primarily, and my growing up noticing both the compassion of kids and their cruelty to each other. And that's a real thing that I think that all kids face at some point or another. But there's another angle or level to this, and that is that my sister and I, throughout our lives, had a really contentious relationship. It was loving, it was supportive. We were probably the first to go to each other for help in a crisis or an emergency or a real problem that was forming or formed in our lives. And yet, throughout our lives, it was the rest of the time, except when there were emergencies, it was really combative. And I had a really hard time with that as a kid. I got stronger and stronger and stronger as I grew up. But it wasn't, frankly, until my adulthood that I was able to stand up to her well. And so this book is influenced by that and what children can learn to do, how to handle their feelings, who to go to for help, primarily parents, assuming that they're supportive parents. That's critical. And even this book will hopefully help parents to process these feelings with the kids and to learn to be able to assist their kids in processing those feelings, and find out what to do to help them. There was another little story that's attached to that, and I've told this before with you, Laura, and Kelly, and others. And that is that there was a time I was young in high school. It was like 10th grade or something. And there was this kid in our class, and he was always alone. I literally had never heard him speak. I'd never seen him hang out with anybody. And he was walking home one day from school all alone. And I caught up to him and I asked him if I could walk home with him. And at our 20th high school reunion, he came up to me, having remembered that one incident and thanking me for that. The kids were really cruel to him. They really were. So I was proud of myself, proud of myself at 20 years on. And I think that this chapter hopefully can help kids, as I say, process those feelings and help their parents understand what they can do to help those kids along, and what the kids can do to stand up for themselves.
Yes. Man, it's a tough job being a parent, isn't it?
Ooh.
And many of us are not psychologists. We aren't social workers. We aren't teachers. We aren't all the things we actually have to be, right, in the moments of helping. And I think that's another brilliant thing about all of these stories, and you authors who are behind the stories, you're experts in your fields, and this is no ordinary storybook. This is a book that is going to help parents, because you're giving a perspective that, I always say these stories they're awesome. They're for kids, but they are so for adults also. Pam, what else do you want to say about that in terms of like reaching the parent who is reading the story?
My parents, till the day they died, claimed that they had no awareness of what was going on with me and my sister. And I believe them. I'm confounded by it, because to me, it was really obvious. So maybe it would be important for parents to check in on that sibling relationship if they have 2 or more kids. How's it going? Talk to the kids about their feelings about their siblings, how they feel like they measure up, whether they feel that there's competition, whether they feel safe, frankly, in their own household. And I would add to that the trauma aspect of children's lives can affect them throughout their lives. And parents and other people can help those kids to make sure that doesn't occur. And if it does, to help them really understand and process the feelings around them. This is a chapter as much for parents as it is for the kids, but it certainly is for both.
Yes, as pretty much all of them are, I think, too. Thank you for being here, Pam.
Thank you.
And a big thanks to all 4 of you. Thanks for saying yes to this, and thanks for really offering the story that is from that deeper place of wisdom and experience. I think that's what makes this book so special and unique and amazing. And I really, for our viewers, I hope that you pick this up. I hope you gift it. I hope that I know one of the stories will be one that resonates and can really help. I have this next question for all of you, and Kelly, I'm going to start with you for this one. Why does helping kids be brave matter to you?
I think it's my passion for my life. As I shared earlier, going through what I went through when my mom died and getting the help that I received was life-changing. And my social worker, Rini, once I did some grief work with her, she asked me to start volunteering with the kids programs. And that's when I knew that this is what I wanted to do with my life. And to see these children come into a grief group and to be brave and to show up, even though they're nervous and they're scared, and to be able to be vulnerable and talk about their feelings and about their loved ones. I think kids are probably the bravest people I could know. And every one of them that shows up here at my office and at grief camp or wherever I am, to see them is just like, I can't explain it. I leave usually when I do a weekend long grief camp. I leave with tears in my eyes because I get to be around usually 30 kids that are so incredibly brave, that spend a weekend of leaning into their grief and talking about their loved ones and being supported by these amazing group of volunteers. It's unbelievable. So it fills me up. It's really my mission in my life is to be able to help children and adults with their grief because it's really important. We all are going to experience loss in our life, and to make sure that we have the support we need is just incredibly important. So,
Thank you, Kelly. I think, for me, it matters because of how I define brave, and I'm defining that from a place of being able to be vulnerable. And that's what you're making me think of when this group of kids gets together, and whether they know it or not, that vulnerability is what is, making them brave.
absolutely.
It's hard to follow that, ladies. I know, Meredith, I'm going to go to you next, and your unique perspective. Why does helping kids be brave, specifically brave, out of all the things they can be, why does that matter to you?
Sure. It's a great question and very hard to follow, Kelly, but I'll give it a whirl. Honestly, my daughter inspires me to show her how to be brave. I think we have to show children how to be brave. And two, what inspires me is a lot of kids don't have healthy supports at home, you know, and they have to learn from others outside of their family, oftentimes, how to be brave. So now that this book will be coming out, my hope is that it will touch children who maybe don't have healthy supports at home and maybe don't have parents to talk to about being brave and being courageous. So I think that really inspires me. I try to be there for my daughter, but I also remember that not every child has a healthy person that they can talk to.
Yes, I want to specifically for our viewers, if you're a teacher, if you are a daycare provider, if you are somebody that's outside the home taking care of those kids who are now possibly in a little tiny bit safer environment to receive whatever that is, you're helping them with. I think this is so important that we start to move these stories and you all out to those people, even outside of that house, in and out, right? It's all of it. Pamela, how about you? Why does helping kids be brave matter to you?
Again, personal, and what I witnessed when I was a kid and as a parent. I was traumatized by the kind of bullying, both internal to the family as well as outside of it in school. And you know what I do for a living. I work on child trauma prevention and mitigation and treatment. And I know that if we could prevent or interfere or mitigate when a child is young, we have the chance literally to protect them and to set them on a life path that will affect their lives forever. And I know very firsthand from my connections with so many survivors of child abuse that the bullying and the other types of trauma that kids are exposed to does affect them for their entire lives. And what could we do as a society to prevent and treat and mitigate that? That would save so much energy and so much pain and so much hardship that we have an opportunity here with this book to really set kids and parents and families and others on a path that's really a protective one, as well as one that helps to mitigate the impact of trauma.
Yeah, it's big potato stuff, you guys. It is. It's big potatoes. And also something you're making me think about is if if I learn about a story about bullying, and it could be just a school playground bully, whatever that is, right? And you have taught me a way to stand up for myself, a way to deal, then next year, when it is the scenario that is actually much more dire, I'm being approached by somebody who has bad intentions, then I'm going to have, I will already have practiced, hopefully,
Right.
this way of standing up for myself. And so I think people need to understand the importance of modeling it and teaching it and reading the stories and giving the kids the perspective. I know that I don't know that I had any of that kind of perspective growing up. And I think it could, like you said, Pam, could really, really prevent a lot of trauma and aftermath. Julie, chime in on this one. Why does it matter to you to help kids be brave?
Well, I'm going to have a hard time following up on all three of these ladies' responses to this, and have to say, I just am so inspired. I'm so inspired by this book and all the authors and all of the stories, and I'm so aligned with everything that's been shared and all of the topics. But I think of the title of the book, inspiring our future world changers, right? We are raising some incredible soon to be adults in some years who are going to take the world over with love and fierce bravery and healing. And I also think of myself as well as a mother. The most I can hope is that I can provide a space for greater feelings of safety to feel bravery as my children grow up. And I think of, Laura, you had mentioned this just a moment ago, things that you might not have had as you were growing up, right? Things that we might not have experienced, or the normalization of some of these things where it's okay to honor exactly where we are. I think it's so, so important to always set the intention to do better than we might have, or I might have, in raising my children specifically. And that's what came up for me in that question.
Yeah, amazing and awesome. I know it's hard to go last on these questions, but
Yeah.
just like the book, you all can answer the same question almost in the same way, but it's your unique voices that really matter. And it's really why collaborating has become my favorite thing ever. It's because we'll have 100 kids and one of them's going to need to hear the story in the way that you told it and hear the answer. One parent is going to need to hear the answer to why this matters your way. They're going to hear it because you said it in your way. And so again, just another thank you to all of you for realizing that and moving past some of my authors are kind of moving past it. Well, it's already been said before. Well, yeah, but not by you. Everybody needs to say it. Meredith, I'm going to start with you for this next question. I'm coming around to all of you for it. What do you really want parents and caregivers to know about how they can help their kids grow up to be awesome people? What's that one thing you want them to know?
I think as parents, it's our job to provide children with a safe place to express their feelings. And the biggest thing for me that comes up with bravery is allowing our children to make mistakes. That's how we learn. I hate the word failure, but I'll tell you, through my failures or through my mistakes in life, those have been opportunities for growth. And making mistakes out loud is an act of bravery and courage. So I think providing that safe place, and also just letting children know it's okay to make mistakes. You're a child, and this is your time in life to figure out what you like and what you don't like, and just giving them that opportunity to shine and make mistakes along the way, because children are going to, I'm going to, my guess is we are all going to continue to make mistakes, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's great advice for everybody in the family. Like, let your people be imperfect, please. Give them a space to be themselves and make mistakes all around, right? Kids, adults, everybody.
Sure.
I love that. Pamela, how about you? Tell us that one thing you want parents and caregivers to know about how they can help their kids be awesome people.
I want them to really focus on listening, trying to understand, providing an opening talk to process their thoughts and their feelings. And as wonderful as my parents were, and I do mean that they were incredible, they did not do that. And I think that if I was to point to the biggest mistake that they made, it was that. And so I didn't learn how to do that well, and I didn't learn how to speak up for myself well. And I think parents can give their kids such a leg up if they were able to listen, understand, provide openings to speak and process thoughts and feelings. Yeah, that's what I would say.
This is where I pause and I'm like, parents and grandparents even, and whoever is raising those kids in the household, you got to do your work too. You have to become a better communicator, a better listener, and so not everybody is or takes on or signs up for that, you know, and so kids do get the brunt of wherever their parent is on the journey and whatever work they are doing or not doing. And so that's where we just kind of get back to, sometimes the help comes from the teacher, from the mentor, from the outside circle. But I love having these conversations, because if you're listening, you might be waking up to something there, right? That the next moment, maybe you could do a little differently, and that will change everything. What if there's one thing, one way that you listened a little harder that time, one moment where you took a deep breath and stopped rushing and just listened, right? And it sounds so simple, but it could be a life-changing moment. So I love that one, Pam. Julie, how about you on this one? What do you want them to know about helping their kids grow up to be awesome adults?
I mean, life is nothing but a bunch of lessons, nonstop lessons and opportunities, right? You know, that's how I choose to look at life moment by moment, is nonstop opportunities. And I believe that in order for us to, you know, teach our children how to be awesome, we also have to honor our humanness and honor theirs. I think that's been a big wake up for me in my own life over the last few years, is by honoring my humanness. You know, I'm not always going to express 100% perfection and compassion and active listening with my child, because I'm a human being too. The important thing is that if I do, you know, get frustrated or express something in a way that I didn't feel too hot after, going back in communication and saying, you know what, I honor, I acknowledge, this was my experience, how I felt, you know, and have that open communication and processing, because that gives the child permission to say, okay, wow, like I'm human too. You know, I'm not going to be able to do this perfectly all of the time. And so that active reciprocity of honoring humanness, adult to child, parent to child, whatever it is, has been such a profound journey that I have been waking up to, in light of especially my family's loss, you know, 5 years ago. So
Gosh, and I think this is lifelong. It doesn't matter how old you are, how old your parents are, how old you the kid are. How, you know, it just, yeah, really important for people to understand that. Kelly, how would you answer this one? What's that one thing you want caregivers to know about how they can help their kids grow up to be amazing adults?
I think it's about time. Give them that time, that space to connect with them, to play with them, to be on their level, whether it's sitting down for family meal time and making sure there's no electronic devices out, and asking, what was their rose and their thorn of the day, or doing something like special play where it's that 15 minutes of uninterrupted playtime between a parent and a child where that parent can't boss, judge, or teach. Those are the things that make the difference. It's that connection. I used to do a program called FAST, Families and Schools Together, and special play was the meat of FAST. And to see the changes from week 1 to week 8 or week 10, whichever program it was, to see that relationship between the parent and the child grow and blossom, where some parents don't know how to play with their kids. So to be able to sit and watch them through those 10 weeks, it was like unbelievable. And the research behind special play is remarkable. I mean, improved self-esteem for the child, improved relationship between the parent and the child, improved behavior for the child. So really, my opinion is it's time. Give them the time they need, play with them, listen to them, put away your phone and just be with them.
What do you mean I can't boss, judge, or teach? Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Only for those 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes. I can handle it for 15 minutes. That cracks me up though, because we jump into teacher mode a lot.
Absolutely.
And definitely it's hard to not judge because we're judging everything every minute of the day. So this really, again, it gets back to, all right, parents, there's going to be some work you got to do, 15 minutes. Can you handle it? I love that. I love that. All right. I've got one more big question for y'all that I'm going to ask you to try to give a brief answer to. It might be impossible, but Pam, I'm starting with you for this one. This generation of kids is faced with a world that is much different than the one their parents and grandparents grew up in. Oh my gosh, right? Things can feel very overwhelming and scary at times for both the kids and their caregivers. So what matters to you the most in terms of shaping this future for our kids?
Boy.
I know. Big question asking for a short answer. What's that one thing? What do you think that matters the most?
Empathy. That's what popped out of my head. Empathy, understanding. I'm not talking about being a doormat. This person, had a rough childhood and therefore they're abusing you and that's okay. That's not what I'm saying. But empathizing, trying to understand other people's perspectives and backgrounds in order to appropriately react. Empathy. I think empathy is the answer to a whole lot of stuff. And I'll stop there because we've got other people, but that's a long and wonderful conversation perhaps to be had.
I like it. Yes, I know. Any of these questions, I think we could be here for hours on. Thank you for that, though. That's a powerful answer. Julie, how about you on this one? Like, what's that one thing that you want that really matters to you the most about shaping this future? I know it's a big question.
It's a very big question. And align with the energy of empathy as well as love and respect for our fellow human. I think of, namaste, the light in me honors the light in you. And that understanding of complete connection, that we are all connected.
Yes, I like that. I like that power combo between the empathy and the love and the respect. That is very powerful. All right, Kelly, how about you?
I think it's self-love. Being in touch with yourself and loving yourself and accepting yourself for who you are, even if you're different. And I mean, obviously, building upon Pam and the empathy piece as well, being empathetic, but also being compassionate to yourself. That self-compassion is so important. Just being kind to yourself, thinking about what would you say to a best friend, giving yourself that same advice.
Nice. And there's so many things. So, right. I mean, it isn't just one thing. That's the hard part. Like that's
No.
the overwhelming part. So it's all of these beautiful things together. So I love that. All right, Meredith, your last step on this big question.
Tough going last. I would say kindness. One of my most favorite quotes is be kind, for everyone you know is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. And just kindness goes a long way. That smile, that hug, that word of encouragement, and that goes for yourself too, right? Like being kind to yourself and being kind to others, which is in alignment with what everyone else shared about love and empathy as well. But I'd say kindness.
I like that too. It's funny. Somebody was talking a few minutes ago. I'm not sure which one of you, but I was having this vision of making my little cappuccino in the morning, and it was the word kindness was coming up, and I was thinking of it as my cinnamon. And I'm going to sprinkle my kindness, and I'm not going to forget to do that extra piece, because that is what makes this cappuccino the best ever, right? Is this a little sprinkle of cinnamon? So is that little sprinkle of kindness on top of all the other things you guys talked about, is remembering, you really don't know what's going on. A lot of the times you can't see. So definitely being kind. Oh my goodness. I love you guys. I want to talk forever today. Thank you so much to all of you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for what you do in the world, and for being here to share it with everyone. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
So for our listeners, I know you heard something today that gave you the goosebumps and made you curious, you were resonating. Drop down into the show notes where I have all of our author experts hooked up with their bios and their links. And so please do go explore, because the books that we publish are way more than books. We have expert community, an expert community waiting and so generously there for you to help you move into this next step that you need help with. So click on their websites, explore, see all the awesomeness that they are up to. And of course, you are invited to join us for our book launch party for Brave Kids. It's going to be Saturday, May 6th at 11 Eastern. I'm going to be with all of the Brave Kids authors. We're going to be doing some fun giveaways, and Pam's going to wear her rabbit ears, I think, that day. I might have to wear my unicorn horn for the party. You're going to find that invite on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page, and I have that below as well. And if you happen to be listening to this interview after that date, May 6th, then that means the book is ready on Amazon, so you should go pick up your copy. And lastly today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Bye, ladies.